Have you ever been in for piles of money with one opportunity on the last hand of the session to make a crazy hero call and get even? That's where I was at today. It's 4 p.m. on a Tuesday evening in Dallas, Texas, and we are at TCH Social to play some 2-5. Now, typically in a 2-5 game, the max buy-in is $500 to $1,000, but here, that's not the case. The max buy-in is $1,500, and that's what we buy in for. At TCH Social in the 2-5 game, every dealer chains, they do a $15 double board PLO bomb pot. Now, I don't know how to play PLO that well, but I do know how to play one hand really well, and that's double suited aces. And we picked them up in this double board bomb pot, and both flops are unreal. The first flop is 7, 10, 3, 2 hearts. So we got the nut flush draw on that board. And the second flop comes 7, ace, queen, rainbow. So we got top set with 2 backdoor nut flush draws on the second board. So basically, if I lose this hand, I'm legit never playing PLO ever again, literally. But let's not think about that. Instead, let's think about how we're going to get some money in this pot. Now, I'm in the big blind and decide to slow play my hands here and check. Action checks all the way to the button, but thankfully he comes through and puts out a bet for $100. It folds over to me, and I could go either way between calling or raising here, but with potential to scoop both boards, I decided to just call, hoping another player behind me will call as well, and that's exactly what happens. We do get a call from the +1, who just so happens to be on tilt Eric. Everyone else folds, so we are 3 ways to 2 turns, and they are absolutely dumb. The first turn is the 5 of hearts, giving us the nuts on that board, and the second turn is the 3 of diamonds, which means we still hold the nuts on that board. So with 150% equity on both boards, I'm in a bit of a weird spot because I don't want this to check through, but it's kind of hard to get called when I have both boards essentially locked up. So I decide on a check, and sadly it checks through. So we're hoping for 2 clean rivers, and that's exactly what we get, and then some. The first river is the 4 of clubs, so we still got the nutter butters there. And the second river is the jack of diamonds, giving us the nuts on that board. So basically there's just nuts flying everywhere for us, and it's time to get paid. I bet $250 because I need to make sure we get called by at least 1 player. And thankfully, On Tilt Eric is a good friend and feels like giving me gas money for the entire month. He calls, the button folds. I show 2 nuts, no pause. That's right, brother. I got the nuts on both boards. Eric's disgusted and mucks his cards, and we're scooping in our first PLO pot of the entire year. About 45 minutes go by of us winning small hands, losing small hands, and we end up with about $1,800 in our stack at this point. So we're up $300. Things are going smoothly. And then we pick up the dreaded ace-king. Now, this hand isn't really dreaded, but people just hate it because you never connect with the board, and you always feel like you have to play it super strong, and you basically just wind up blasting off with ace-high for no reason, and supposedly it's the 4th best hand in poker, which I disagree with. Anyways, that doesn't matter. We pick it up in the +1, $10 straddle is on. I open to $35, and immediately I'm greeted with a 3-bet from the low jack to $100. It folds back to me, and I'm sitting about $1,800 effective with this player. So I think a 4-bet is probably the best option here, but I hadn't really seen him 3-bet, and I thought he was a tight player. I mean, he only been sitting down for 20 minutes, so it's kind of hard to put him in a category. But again, hadn't seen him 3-bet, and basically I'm just saying all this because I was really scared to put in more money with ace-king, so I just flatted the $100, and we go heads up to a flop. It's exactly what you would expect. It's deuce, queen, deuce, 2 spades, so we completely whiff the flop. I check it over to the low jack, and he continues. He makes it $125. It's a lot larger than I thought he'd go if he had a hand like aces or kings or ace queens. So now I think he actually might have jacks or 10s. Now, something that's super important is I do have the ace of spades. There's 2 spades on board. So if the spade peels off on the turn, I can pretty credibly rep the nut flush draw. And also, if the ace or king peels off, we should have the best hand. So we have a lot of equity against specifically jacks or 10s. That's what I think he has. So I'm going to put in the call, and we'll see what happens on the turn. And the turn changes everything. It's the ace of hearts, giving us top pair, top kicker. And now I'm just thinking about how I can get paid in this spot. And it's kind of tricky because I can't just lead out on this turn. Well, I guess I could, but I don't think he would call. It would just look way too strong. So I check, and this brother bets $300. Now I think he might have queens. If he has queens, we're screwed. We're drawn dead. But would he do that if he had queens? I don't know. I'm kind of confused. I didn't think he was going to bet. I thought he would check back for sure. So now I'm kind of debating if I should fold, but I finally hit the board with ace king, so it feels like a complete crime to fold now. So I do end up calling, but I'm not feeling good whatsoever about the situation, and the river makes things a little more interesting. It's the 4 of spades. It puts 3 spades on board, and like I said, we have the ace of spades. So the question is, do I need to turn my hand into a bluff here? I mean, we have top pair, top kicker, so we have a really strong hand, but what are we trying to get value from? I mean, if he has 10s or jacks, he's not going to call a big bet. The pot's over $1,000 now, so I don't know what sizing to go with. But the other thing going through my head is he could also have ace king, and if he has ace king and we go huge here, we can get him off a chop. But the other thing going through my head is, what if I bomb this river and he just back jams with a freaking full house and we get scooped? Truthfully, I have no clue what the right move is here. So if you study charts, let me know what to do in the comments, because I have no idea. Anyways, I end up checking, and now this guy is swimming in the tank. My heart's pounding. I'm just praying he checks it back. But after thinking for almost a full minute, he checks it back. He looks upset about it too. So I proudly flip over my ace king, and he proudly flips over ace king as well. So we just went through that insanely complicated hand for no reason whatsoever, because we chopped this pot up. I hate ace king. I've been playing for around an hour and a half now, and there really hasn't been any crazy swings, but that's all about to change. If you watch any of my vlogs, you know there's one hand that I tend to go crazy with, and that's ace queen. I'm in the big blind, and my friend Tyler is on my left, and he puts on the $10 straddle. Now, before Tyler got here, he sent me this text saying, "I'm coming to stack you for my revenge on the channel. See you in an hour, fool." I mentioned this because in this hand, it's pretty obvious that we're playing each other and not our cards. There's one limp from the hijack for $10, and then the small blind raises to 50. Action's on me now, and I mean, the charts say to 3-bet here, right? I don't know, but my charts say to 3-bet 100% of the time here, so I 3-bet to 150 bucks. Tyler has himself a pocket pair for sure because he cold calls from the straddle and the small blind folds. So we're going to war against Tyler. Once again, in the flop comes 7, 4, 8, 2 clubs, 1 diamond. This board is pretty similar to the last hand we just played. We don't have anything besides 2 overs and a backdoor nut flush draw, but there is one thing that I definitely do have, and that's a super nitty image, and I'm about to use it. I start off with the check, and Tyler bets $135. If I had queens or kings or aces, I'd probably check raise in this spot, but I think I could also just call sometimes as well. So that's what I do here. I just call. We're off to a turn, and it's pretty much a brick. It's the 8 of hearts. I check again, and Tyler does not slow down. He bets $350. Now I'm 90% sure he has a hand like pocket 9s or pocket 10s here. He has around $900 behind after he bets $350. So a jam here could get him to fold. And I'm telling you guys, Tyler thinks I'm a complete nitball, but little does he know, I do know how to bluff. And I'm going for it all on the spot. I rip it for $1,250 effective, and Tyler goes into the tank for almost 2 whole minutes. My heart's pounding again. He counts out his chips, asks the dealer to spread the pot, checks the weather outside, checks his emails. I mean, he literally does what any pro would do in this spot. Now remember, this guy came up here with one goal in mind: to stack me. Tyler, please pick a different spot to get that revenge, brother. I'm begging you. After an eternity of tanking, Tyler makes his decision. He calls. We're screwed. Come on, dealer. Bail me out this one time. Just this one time. I promise I'll go back to being a complete nit. I'll never bluff ever again. Please. River's a deuce of diamonds. And just like that, we're losing an over $3,000 pot. I still like my play, though, but it's just pretty obvious here that Tyler's colluding with the dealer. I mean, so there was no way that we were ever going to win this hand, but yeah, you suck, Tyler.
Show the text in the vlog.
This guy's
I
so
literally
bad.
said I was coming here just to stack him.
Guess what I had?
Ace king of clubs.
Ace queen. You literally just said it. So after dusting off our entire stack, I add on for $1,000. We're in for $2,500 total now, and we're officially in the trenches. 10 minutes after adding on, we pick up pocket jacks, which literally feels like a death sentence for my session at this point, but who cares? I'm ready to lose it all. There's a raise from the low jack to 25, who just so happens to be another friend of mine, Frederick. Now, the good thing about Frederick is I run amazing against him, so I'm almost guaranteed to win this hand. I 3-bet to 75. It folds back to Frederick. He calls. We're heads up to a flop. It comes 10-4-6 rainbow. Literally one of the only boards you want to see when you have jacks. Frederick checks. I c-bet $85. Frederick calls. I still think we have the best hand, but the turn isn't great at all. The turn is a king of diamonds, putting an overcard to our pair on the board. Frederick checks again. Now, I don't think he's going to have a king very often in this spot. I think he's probably going to have a hand like queen 10 or ace 10, so I'm going to keep my foot on the gas and bet $225. Frederick thinks about it for a little bit and calls again. We're off to a river. It's the 3 of hearts. Unless he has exactly 7-5 for a straight, we should almost always have the best hand here. Frederick checks for a 3rd time, and now the question is, do we bet for thin value or play it safe and check it back? If I put him on a pair of 10s this entire time, it's a pretty easy decision. I should go for thin value here on the river. My only fear is if I do bet small, this might induce a raise from him, which you would think is good, but I have jacks. I'm tilted right now. I don't want to call off with jacks in this spot. So after going back and forth between betting and checking, I end up turning back into the net I am, and I check it back. I show the jacks, he mucks, and we're taking down a much-needed pot. After that pocket jacks hand, we went a hand with pocket 7s where we go runner to make a straight. I value bet the river and get called. Then we went another pot with king queen where we turn a straight, squeeze out a little value on the turn, but our opponent folds to a big bet on the river. But at this point, we're only down a few $100, so things are going pretty good. I mean, we were stuck piles earlier, and now we're only down a few $100. I mean, that's great, right? But then we played a PLO double board bomb pot, and my stack goes from this to this. I had a straight on both boards and still managed to lose on both boards. I knew I should have folded though, because on the river there were, possible flushes on both boards, so I was basically just calling to chop at best. And you know how when you make a stupid call that you really didn't need to make, and you lose a bunch of money that you really didn't need to lose, and now you're just sitting at the table on a mega tilt and start calling every raise pre-flop no matter what cards you have? Yeah, that's the state of mind I was in when this happened. I look down at pocket 9s in the big blind. I'm ready to just get it all in with how tilted I am. The $10 straddle is on and the +1 opens to $30. The +2 immediately 3 bets to $100 and it folds over to me. I should fold, but I'm tilted. Now, is cold calling from the big blind a smart play? No, it's not a smart play. It makes my hand super obvious. It's very clear if I cold call here that I have a medium to low pocket pair. But am I tilted? Absolutely. So I call, and so does a +1. We're 3 ways to a flop, and all I want to see is a 9. Is that too much to ask for, dealer? I guess so, because the flop is 4-10-4, 2 spades. I check, and to my surprise, it checks through. Now I think we might have the best hand, actually. The turn comes a deuce of hearts. When the flop checks through, there's a good chance that both of my opponents just have overs. So I'm thinking we could take it down here with a bet. I bet $225, and it gets the job done. If the job was to build the pot, they both call. The river comes the 8 of hearts, and there is no way I'm putting any more money in this pot after getting called by both players on the turn. So I check. The +1 checks, and the +2 does not check. Instead, he bombs it for $890. I know I said I wasn't going to put any more money in this pot, but if I call and win, that would literally get me out of the hole we're in, and we would actually be winning on this session. He made a polarizing bet on the river, which means he either has something really, really, really good, or he doesn't have crap. Now, I want to call super bad, but there's still another player in the hand, and if I call, who knows what this guy will do. So I think about it for almost an entire minute and ultimately decide to be disciplined and fold. The +1 ends up tank calling, and the +2 shows pocket aces, so thank God I didn't call there. Shortly after this hand, I realized if I stay any longer, I'll end up being the guy who goes to the ATM to pull out money, so I decided to stop chasing my losses and cash out.
We got him. Big results here. Oh my gosh, we got him. All right, boys, check this out. What happened? I'm gonna make this short and sweet. In the game for 2,300, out for 593.
Oh my God.
Let's go!
At 2-5.
Let's go!
Oh my God, you're
2-5. Wow.
No,
I mean, I'm speechless. What'd you lose?
Brother, I was in the 5-10 game for 1,800, ran it up to 6,000.
No. What are you out for? What are you out for?
No, I ran it up to 6,000. I played good today. Then I did a flip for $3,000. I lost. Then I did a flip for 2,500. I lost.
Answer the question.
In for 18, out for 400.
So, there you have it. When we go to TCH, we run that place, brother. Don't you ever sit at our tables. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Catch you guys on the next one.